Today we continue our earlier discussion with Dr. Otivi Ibuzo on desperate politics. Dr. Ibuzo is the director of the African Center for Leadership, Strategy and Development. He is a renowned commentator and also former gubernatorial candidate in the recent elections in Delta State. Please join me in our discussion with Dr. Otivi Ibuzo. The real reason for any signs or aspects of desperation in Nigerian politics, could it be because of the anemic nature of the private sector? And so the government, the public sector is the real market.
Which private sector in Nigeria?
Yes.
You know my views on that, sir?
It was, yeah,
that the private sector in Nigeria is parasitic, essentially.
Okay.
We do not have a strong private sector. If you look at many of the public-private partnership, is another euphemism. Yeah, it's partly the reason. Yes. It's partly the reason. Therefore, because that's the point. That's the place I started from. Yes. That is the political economy of Nigeria, where the only, or rather, the major business is government.
Yes.
So you see that the richest people in Nigeria today are government contractors. You know, a lot of people have complained over the past 9 months that since Buhari came into government, business is no longer moving. And I asked them, what were you selling during Jonathan? What goods and services that is no longer moving? And they are looking at me with blank face. Because the business they were doing is contract.
Yes.
And we have seen from many of the probes that are going on, that they even upgraded it to the extent that you don't do anything. You just register a company, you have company name, you submit the company name to the chief economic advisor or the NAPEP coordinator.
They don't normally do that. The chief economic advisor usually has nothing to do with contracts.
And then,
I can assure you of that.
And then, yes, you know, money will flow into your account and you send 80% back to the person and you collect 20%, doing nothing, practically nothing. So, and I think that what the government is doing today, it's just that they have not been systematic about it.
Yeah.
It's to that you have to earn money based on provision of goods or services.
Absolutely. The local governments, they barely have any kind of autonomy. You can't even see them tangibly there running their own affairs. Is that a result of, is that part of what we can call a havoc that is being caused by desperate politics? Because I've never understood how a governor would want to control all the local governments, make sure that they install their own person so that in every single local government, the chairman belongs to the governor's political party.
I'm sure you understand.
That seems to me a sign of
I'm sure you understand it because during election, these are the foot soldiers. The reason why governors or political party want to control all the local government is that that's where you have the foot soldiers who will ensure your victory during the elections.
So that is a sign of desperation.
It's a sign of desperation.
You want to keep yourself.
Yes.
Because you should not do that.
I think the point
you should not install people.
No, I think the point really, in my view, is that it is not wrong for any political party to want to control, but it should not be controlled arbitrarily.
But that's what most of the
That's what they do. That's the wrong aspect. Yes,
that's what they are doing.
It's illegal.
Yes.
The constitution is very clear that local government elections shall be democratically elected. You know, we need to remind ourselves that why we pursued away the military from power is because they were not doing elections. So state governments cannot fail to do local government elections. It's patently illegal and it should not be encouraged.
I rarely hear of INEC involved in local government elections. Is INEC ever involved?
No, it's here. It's state.
Yeah, but that's controlled by the government, by the state government.
Yes.
Is that can that bring about good results for a state?
We are in a country that is in a dilemma. By our own heterogeneous nature, multi-religious nature, we are expected to operate a federal system of government. And a federal system of government is supposed to devolve powers to the state. The states are supposed to be semi-autonomous or even coordinate. But the challenge we have is that it appears that federal institutions are more transparent and accountable and are more institutionalized and disciplined than state institutions.
Yeah.
So, whereas we are saying that there's concentration of resources and power at the central, that power should be devolved to the states. One of the powers that will be devolved is that they should conduct their own elections. Under normal circumstances, in a truly federal state, the state should conduct its own elections, including the governorship. But what we've seen is that the state independent electoral commission are worse than the national. So we are in a dilemma.
I understand, but let's be clear, worse in what sense? That they are controlled by the state apparatus?
Worse in terms of following the international standards for conducting elections.
Now that's what I'm saying. That is, they are controlled, the state apparatus controls everything.
Everything, they dictate everything. Yes. I think that we really need as a country to become more committed to principles, to ensure that things are done rightly. To ensure...
We didn't know this before until you're saying this now?
We know.
So how come we haven't changed it?
We haven't changed it because the political leadership, the environment. But now, I think the environment has improved. At least the tone has been set at the top.
Okay.
That indiscipline will no longer be tolerated.
At the national level.
At the national level.
But what about at the state level?
That is the point.
Where the president has no control.
No, that's why citizens have to key into it.
How?
Through their own organization, through this kind of discussion we are having.
They know that they should do that.
Yes.
But they are hungry and somebody usually hands them a loaf of bread and they shut up.
That is a challenge, but how you deal with that is to raise their level of consciousness. You can raise level of consciousness to the level that they will take that money because they are hungry, but they will still vote against them or refuse to do their bidding.
Yeah.
It's going to reach that level. And how you do that is education. Because, even though the people are hungry, they are very conscious now. Most of the time, they question their overlord and say, where are your children? You want us to go and fight? You send your children abroad during election and you want us to go and fight and die?
There will have to be a lot of education. We have to be able to provide well-paying jobs in circumstances that will free these people from the servitude.
I agree with you completely. I had the privilege of serving in the Police Service Commission for 5 years.
Yeah, I know.
And I know that the Nigerian police is the least paid in West Africa. A police constable receives about 24,000 naira in a month. That is less than what we pay the cleaner in my office.
It's really bad. But the real thing is to have real engines of growth in all our communities. That is a thing that I have been focusing on for a very long time now. That we have to look at a new kind of community development, which is not just building latrines and culverts, but building industries, making sure people can get up in the morning and go to a job, a very well-paying job. When that happens,
not just
there's
job.
Some of this problem
there
that
are a lot of things that can be paying jobs. Yes. Even economic centers. There are productive centers.
Yes.
Every section of this country has, a areas where they have comparative advantage.
Absolutely, yes.
In Borno State, for instance, Akasha gum alone can earn the country money. There's a lot of minerals across the country which are not being, there's a lot of illegal mining going on. So the government really needs to go back to the basics and including social reorientation.
So let's rewind down here. Talking about the havoc of desperate politics, the havoc of desperate politics. What is in your mind the chief havoc? Well, I can tell you something I have in the back of my mind. People see these politicians get away with blue murder, as we just talked about, and so I see somebody stuffing ballot boxes and winning. Therefore, I prepare for next time on how I would do the same thing. And if I have to beat people, and if I have to maim people, if we have to kill people, we find a way to do it because the investigations will not bring results. So as we conclude, I want you to speak to some of the real ills, the real havoc that desperate politics inflicts upon society.
The havoc of desperate politics on society is monumental. And it affects all facets of life. Right from politics, you will get the wrong kind of people into political office. And they will not be able to provide the necessary leadership for the development of society. You will affect the psyche of the people. Socially speaking, you will be promoting injustice as the norm. And people will come to internalize it. That to be successful in life, the only way is to be dubious and ruthless. Economically, it will lead to destruction of the economic base of society. And so the impact is monumental. That's why many scholars have argued that for you to develop any society, to bring stability to any society, you must get it right politically. And I think that all well-meaning people across the world must raise their voice, as we are doing, against desperate politics. And put in, not just appeal, put in mechanisms, systems, and procedures to make desperate politics difficult, if not impossible. And then to also put system in place for those deviants that will insist on desperate politics for them to be punished. Unless we do that, then society will suffer for it.
Dr. Buja, you're wonderful.